This is my Subaru SBX, and recently it's been through hell and back. I drove this thing over 5,000 miles without touching a single highway from the east to the west coast of the United States. We put this thing in places it should have never been.
Hell yeah, boy, hell yeah.
Was it worth putting my car through all that bullshit? Or did I make a huge mistake? Let's find out. We're going nose to tail on this car, beginning with the smallest to the largest problems. And as you know, when you're off-roading, a lot of things tend to break. Let's see if all those roadside fixes held up or bit the dust. Yeah. First things first, let's talk about the tires and all the plugging we had to do on the entire adventure. First one was on Mineral Creek, coming down a mountain in Colorado. We slightly popped the sidewall here. You're not supposed to plug sidewall. If anything, you want to do a patch, which we'll talk about later. You know, it's nice to try the cheaper option first. We have a lot of these plugs, so it's really easy to see if this will work first. This was halfway through the trip, and it's still holding to this day. Hankook does not recommend this, so don't go do it. But when you're in a pinch, you never know what'll work for you. Let's go look at this other tire. A little bit further down the trail, I would say we were in Arizona. It has a lot of just stones and rocks everywhere. Those get a little sharp, and they sit on the edge of the 2-track trail that you're going down, and then out of nowhere, pow. If you look at all my tires, you can see where they all almost popped from some kind of rock gash. The little tire plugs did not work, so we had to pull out our glue tread. We went up the road a little bit further, and the tire repopped. The tread actually yanked rubber off the tire. These all-terrains are meant for all that, so I think these tires did an amazing job. So did my fix hold up or bite the dust? Technically 50-50. One patch held, one patch didn't hold, but I was prepared and had some spares, so I said I did a good job. A+ on these tires. Next up, skid plates. I knocked out both bolts for my oil pan skid plate here, and it was essentially dragging on the ground. As you can see, they took a massive beating. These were flat at one point, and now they're not. We managed to pry bar my subframe because it's bent, and all the mounting hardware was all bent up. So we had to reshape it with a pry bar and a hammer and try and get this bolt in. This is a Toyota bolt that we found on the back of Zach's 4Runner, and we actually got it to thread at this angle. And then I continued to beat the living crap out of it. So did my skid plate patch hold up? Absolutely, and I'm not gonna touch it until I get all brand new parts. So it's gonna stay there. As you can see, there's still a crap ton of oil coming from the car. We'll get to that in a bit.
Yep, just as I suspected. It's football time. I always knew this day would come, and so did today's sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. That's why they're making it easier for you to track down the action. They're offering new customers who bet just $5 an additional $300 in bonus bets instantly, and $200 off YouTube's NFL Sunday Ticket. That's a one-stop shop, so you don't have to hunt down the games you care about. Just download DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use our code DONUT. Moneyline, parlays, spreads, you name it, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. And they're making it easier for you to watch the dang game with YouTube's NFL Sunday Ticket. Where's the game? Which channel is this game? Enough of that. It's on YouTube.com. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use our code DONUT and bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. And $200 off YouTube's NFL Sunday Ticket. That's a no-brainer.
Let's talk about my axle. Me and Zach had a little friendly drag race competition, and he told me, hey man, it's okay to have fun. Okay, fine, let's have fun. So I did a donut, or 2 or 3. I guess that weakened my axle because when I went to go do a fast U-turn, something just happened. I mean, it literally exploded out of the side. I had to get a Subaru Outback axle to mate in with my 6-speed STI transmission to also mate into my Subaru SBX knuckle. 0 axle problems for the rest of the trip, which is insane. I was clutch bumping this thing up hills and through water crossings and all kinds of crap, and these parts store axles held up to glory. I can't explain it. All of these axles were just bouncing and landing on rocks or whatever terrain I was on. Right now it's really, really sturdy, which is good. There's also no axle grease leaking anywhere. You'll see in the footage of where it broke, it was just wobbling and wiggling all over the place. And I went from being a 4-wheel drive car to a 3-wheel drive car. So did my CV axles hold up? Yeah, they held up. Unlike my suspension though, which if you can't already see the problem, I don't know how you missed it. As you can see, something don't look right. And that's because the shock housing is bent. I was going about 55 mile an hour on a dirt road in Mississippi, and I hit about 50 potholes, and eventually one snapped in half. So I had to replace my shock housings on the side of the road at a hotel parking lot, and Phil was kind enough to again overnight parts for us all the way to Mississippi. So the reason why we went with the Fields, if you haven't seen the build video of it, make sure you go check it out. We had some coilovers on the way that were actual rally spec coilovers. They didn't show up until after we had already left. Field came in at the last second and they just threw us some regular street coilovers. These are not made for off-roading, and because we lifted it to its absolute limit, that's why they're starting to bend. They already need to be replaced. So did my trail fix bite the dust or did it hold up? Technically it held up, but I'm gonna say it bit the dust because that whole last leg of the trip, one pothole can end this whole thing for me. So I say they bit the dust. All right, so up next we have the rear wheel bearing on the driver's side. This was a fix I did not want to do. So the rear wheel bearing is a press-in style bearing with tapered style bearings on either side. Everything, all this had the rotors, all this had to come off, pull the whole knuckle, press the bearing out, press the new bearing in, and then bam, went back together. But that's not all that happened. Zach had to go 3 hours away to go get the bearing for me, and we had to find a guy with a press in Beaver, Oklahoma, in the middle of nowhere. But luckily there's a lot of mining out there and farmers, so they all have some kind of heavy equipment they work on. We found a guy, he was really nice, he helped us out, so shouts out to him. Once the bearing was in, it was just so quiet in the car. So did my rear wheel bearing fix hold up or did it bite the dust? It held up. It held up fantastic. I've had zero problems back here since we fixed the wheel bearing. My brakes have been good. Everything essentially in the back of the car has been fine, except for popping tires, but what are you gonna do? And that was all the stuff that we had to fix in order to finish our entire route. Let's get to the stuff that we didn't have to fix, or the stuff I just chose to ignore, like my crank pulley. I noticed that after I started the car, there was a belt squeak and I could see my crank pulley here actually wobbling. Kind of scary, but what we did is we went and bought a temporary one just in case that one fell off, because it's not a super hard fix. As long as you have the right tools, you can break that thing off and put it on, but it is still kind of annoying. We just really did not want another half a day gone trying to fix something, so I chose to ignore it. Something I need to do for sure, because you don't want that falling off. But right now, hold on strong. At a shop, pretty easy thing to fix. Something that seems a little silly, but actually was very important for me as a guy with no AC, was my sunroof here. It worked perfectly when we started this adventure, but over time, the dust, I think, got to it. Yeah, I gotta get that to work properly. Oof. Before it would just boop, boop, go, open, boop, boop, close, done. Now I've got to assist it with my hand. Hopefully all it needs is a good clean, get all the dust and grime out of the mechanisms and motors and whatnot. It's a 1 out of 10, super easy, not gonna take too much time. If not though, that'll be a really hard fix. This is gonna be an 8 to 9 out of 10. Something that I've just noticed that might be broken is my seat. Maybe I forgot, but if I push back on the chair, it leans to the right. Oh my God, that's so bad. So yeah, replacing the seats, that's like 0.5, if I even give it a difficulty, because it's not that hard. It literally is just 4 bolts. Hey Ever, you wanna try the seat out? Tell me if it's broken? Maybe it's just me.
So I'm supposed to tell if it's broken?
Push back on the seat.
Oh man.
Does it lean one way?
Dude, this like, it's definitely a messed up seat. It's like when Dominic Toretto finally hits it.
Torque. The seat off the line. All right, so the next problem we have is a sticky starter. When I go to turn the key, sometimes all I hear is a click and nothing happens. The battery is totally fine. That's a brand new Optima yellow top, so that's not what I'm worried about. I think what's happening is through all the water crossing and all the dust, either the teeth that hit the flywheel and crank this thing, or the solenoid is just getting really sticky. So what I've been doing, as you can see with the shiny metal there, I've been smacking it with a hammer. And that seems to work. The starter sticks out a shaft with some gears on it, and that turns the motor to get the compression going, and then everything fires up. If you didn't have a starter, you'd have to go on the front of your vehicle, attach a crank handle, and do it yourself. So 1 out of 10, how hard is this? This is a solid 3. Anybody can change their starter. Luckily, the Subaru one is right up top at an easy little location. This one's pretty easy. Okay, for the next broken thing of the car, you might have noticed my taillights were doing some goofy stuff during the road trip. Well, that's because the LED taillights I put in this car a few years ago, they're kind of stupid. I'll just show you. Okay, so these are my brakes. Now I'm gonna turn my lights on. Those are my taillights. But here's my taillights with my brakes. Also, you might think that's reverse. That's actually first gear. Second gear, third gear. I didn't make them, someone DIY'd them. I bought them, I'm gonna replace them. So I have a new set of OEM basic taillights that I'm gonna put back in there and hope to God that they work normally. Because this is really bad when traffic's behind you and they have zero idea what you're doing. All right, so on a difficulty scale, this is a 0.25. It's just a couple 10mm bolts to replace the OEM housings. It was a little bit difficult to find some new ones, but like I said, there's tons of parts cars out there. I got some of those. I'm gonna put them in. Get rid of this crap. Okay, so for the next broken thing on this car is my trunk latch. Now when I do my trunk release, it doesn't unlock. So sometimes someone has to pull it while I pull the lever, but it's easier for me to just come back here and just use my key and open it. But this crack right here is creating a lot of flex in this downward part of my trunk. How does a metal trunk crack? Well, it's not metal. This entire trunk is fiberglass from the factory. That becomes a problem. Oh, it latched that time. Anyway, so difficulty rating 1 through 10. 0, because I'm just gonna ignore it. I can't fix it. If I get a stock trunk to replace this with, it's not gonna align anyway because this car is already jacked up. So it is what it is. As long as it doesn't let water in, I should be okay. Let's talk about the loudest child in the room, my exhaust. Half of it's gone. So I went over some obstacles and then I noticed the car sounded a little bit louder. Couldn't tell what it was, couldn't tell why. And then I got to camp, lifted the car up, and that's when I noticed it's gone. Where did it go?
How far up is it gone?
Nevada has my exhaust now. The whole back half of my exhaust is completely missing. Like the fumes were getting in the car, they were crazy, and the heat that this generates was immense. It was horrible. It was so hot in the car. Luckily, this is an easy fix. I would give this a 4, mainly because finding an SVX exhaust is not easy because you have to pull it off another car. But luckily I know people and I got one already. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You wanna hear it? You wanna hear it. You know, you add the wind noise from the windows being down and the lack of AC, and you kind of drone it out with some music. And already the fumes in here are awful, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off. Okay, let's start ramping these problems up a little bit. Let's go with the oil leak that has gotten worse and worse with every day passing. I do believe it is a valve cover leak, which, as you know, in the Subaru, kind of hard to get to. Hopefully that is all it is. There's oil everywhere now, so who knows what's going on under here, but all I know is that it's leaving a pretty big puddle under the car. That needs to be fixed, and it needs to be done correctly, or else we'll be right back here doing it again. Because this car is so freaking filthy, and that oil has been leaking for so many miles, it's really hard to tell what's oil buildup and what's grime, mud. Yeah, everything here that looks glossy, that's all fresh oil. Ooh, look at that. Out of a 1 to 10, this is not something you could do on a trail at all. Probably the closest to 10. I'm just gonna go ahead and say a 9. And even in a shop, it's gonna be annoying, so. Someone else's problem. On to a very unfortunate event, the hole in my floor. That's from bouncing off my slider and landing on top of a rock. There are tons of dents under here, but this is by far the worst one, and that's gonna have to get fixed. So I would either need to plug it somehow, which would be pretty easy, or hire somebody to professionally fix that because that is bad. I mean, that's the floor of the car. This will rust and ruin the structural integrity of everything. This is all like OEM manufacturer undercoating. It's all gotta get sanded away. It's already broken off in most places. Flattened, welded together from the top and probably from the bottom, but that probably requires us to cut another layer of sheet metal from that to get to this, but it's got to be done because that will cause a lot of issues in the future. So for on our difficulty meter, I would say this is a 10 for me. I don't know how to weld sheet metal very well, and I definitely don't want to be cutting into my carpet up top trying to find this patch area, so definitely 10 in difficulty for me. Okay, everybody, let's get serious. Let's talk about the most egregious broken thing on my car, and it's probably impossible to fix. Let's talk about the structural integrity. Yeah, the car has been rear-ended before. Of course the structural integrity is bad. Well, we fixed all that. Now we go off-roading. You see this control arm subframe mount right here? You see how nice and flat this is right here? Let's look at the other side. Oh my God! What the heck happened there? If I took this to a mechanic and said, hey, can you replace my lower control arms? They're gonna be like, no. This bushing is, sorry, I almost said a bad word. It's not even round anymore. This hardware is not gonna wanna come out. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. All of this is dented in. I would have to completely disassemble this entire subframe and replace it with another one, hoping that the rest of the car is straight enough for the new one to go on. I could get a whole nother car and pull parts off of it and try this. At that point, I might as well just use the straighter car. This is now probably a permanent race car. That's not all. You see these two frame rails right here? Caleb did his darnest to box them out and make them as strong as possible. But look how much this one got punched in. That's insanity. This crease is ½ an inch pushed up. If you look at the other side, this is what it should look like. You got your spot welds right there. That's OEM, right? This is all OEM. This mounting point is OEM. Well, now look over here. This mounting point is moved. It's not supposed to be like that. That's all really bad. This steel is probably making us not able to take this to a frame shop and fix it because it's just too far gone. So this is something that I probably have to choose to ignore and just deal with the hard pull to the right that I'm dealing with. What am I gonna do about this? I'm not really sure. And if I had to rate this job from 1 to 10, I'm giving it a million because no one wants to do this. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Might as well get another car. All right, so I think it's only fair that the guys that helped us build this car see how well their work is holding up. So we're gonna call them. Hey, Caleb. Oh, look who it is. It'd be great for you to see how your work held up.
Okay.
Look at this.
I see a lot of dents in a hole.
You see how bent it is?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to miss, to be honest.
Your work, not a single weld pop.
Okay.
No, an A+, bro. You mentioned the exhaust.
Where's the rest of it?
Somewhere in northern Nevada. There's a big dent in the floor.
Yeah, should have added more crossbars there.
I do have one thing to show you though.
Oh boy.
I think it's a valve cover leak, but it's sprayed.
I'm sure you were adding a quart or so every day.
Thank you for leaving space for the sunroof because I would have died from exhaustion if that was not open. So yeah.
Glad my hands could be on that thing, and I'm looking forward to the episode, man. Honestly, I'm stoked to see it.
All right, man. Take care. We'll catch you later. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We'll see ya. All right, so one of the biggest oversights for this entire build and adventure started with choosing this car. Why the heck would I choose a Subaru Grand Touring car with no parts availability or sharing with other cars? Well, it's my baby. I couldn't not use this car. Why wouldn't I use this car? It's super cool. It's super stupid. I took something that was already ruined and made it really cool again. Sure, the frame's a little bent out of shape, but whatever. We're in the business of having fun, and a bent frame is just part of that. So I want to thank everybody for watching this video. And if you haven't seen our cross-country road trip, make sure you go check that out right now. There are 3 parts of the drive and a build episode. Go watch that, please. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank Donut for allowing me to do this. I want to thank Onyx Off-Road for sponsoring our whole adventure. I want to thank Hankook, EM Industries, Alpine Performance and Off-Road, KC Lights, everybody that provided parts. I want to thank you guys for being fans of this awesome channel and allowing us to do these fun things. But if you haven't seen the video, make sure you go watch it. Okay, goodbye.